has one cinematic and one for gameplay.
Okay.
The cinematic is probably the most metal thing to ever be released by Blizzard, and I
Probably.
don't spoil it too much. I suggest that you give it a watch for yourself. It's pretty intense. The events of Diablo 4 take place decades after we disposed of Malthael and the Reaper of Souls.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
even in-game, it takes about 30 years before anything changes with the series. Story-wise, as you'll see in the cinematic,
I didn't
the
know
Queen
that,
of the
actually.
Succubus and daughter of Mephisto and mother of all humanity, Lilith, has been resurrected to wreak havoc upon the war-torn sanctuary.
Yep.
The game is
Fucking
back
bitch.
to its dark and dreary atmosphere, full effing force.
Which is good. I like that. There it is. Fuck yeah, dude. This will be fucking beautiful. An incredible game.
You think me mad, old friend, but I know these dreams.
And not just in looks, but also in gameplay. As you can see, it looks to be more in line with Diablo 2 or Path of Exile.
Yeah.
All of the flashy effects are now gone, and the game takes on a much more dark and visceral atmosphere that's reminiscent of its predecessors.
I feel like some of the effects are flashy. I mean, they're not like, oh my god, super flashy or anything like that. It's not a light show. But at the same time, I think they do have a certain level of flashiness with that as well. Yeah, sure.
It also has some completely new aspects as well, however, one of them being the open world design. No longer it seems that the game is primarily comprised
that
of
is the
levels
main
with
thing I'm
teleports
excited for
into
with
other
Diablo 4.
levels. The world of Sanctuary is now completely open, and you must travel from one location to the other, exploring a giant map in search of fights, dungeons, and loot.
Wait,
They claim
what
they're
was that map?
From one location to the other.
Oh, shit. So that's the whole map for Diablo? Where the fuck was this? Holy fuck. Okay, so we already saw this map right here. The map that the cutout is Diablo 4 right now. And so I guess these other parts are expansions. Dude, this game's gonna be massive.
I know.
If they pull this off in the right way. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. This could actually be completely like... I'm
might
now
have a new
really
game.
excited for it. Go ahead.
Said you might have a new game.
Yeah, this is awesome. Dry Steps is the beta map? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's more to it besides the beta. But yeah, if they do the whole thing as the map, yeah, no wonder you need a fucking mount. The zone is going to be... There's probably going to be more that you have to like go across in here than in WoW even. Like, this is insane. Like, I'm really surprised that they're doing this much.
Exploring a giant map in search
Holy
of fights,
fuck.
dungeons, and loot.
That's incredible.
They claim that there are hundreds of villages to stumble upon, and you'll even encounter other players that you aren't grouped with, which
Wow.
is much more of an MMO aspect than it is action RPG.
God damn.
There are limits, however. Certain areas you'll see just a few people, and others you could see a dozen.
Wow.
One such example is during this world boss encounter. The open world
Okay.
isn't randomly generated, but the events that happen within it are, and one of them is a world boss encounter, such as this giant dragon as you see before you. You can choose to group up with 3 other friends, so a party size of 4 total, and try to take it down, but due to the open nature of the game, other players will be able to come and assist you. These bosses...
See, I don't know how PvP is going to work in this game. That's another concern that I have. Is like, how is PvP going to work in Diablo 4 whenever there's so much phasing and stuff going on? In a way, I want to wonder if you're going to be able to zone into like different worlds on purpose, or if Blizzard is just going to dynamically put you in random phases in the same way they do with WoW. So like, it's like basically, are you logging onto a server, or is Blizzard assigning you basically a layer whenever you log on? And if they're assigning layers, I really kind of worry that all of the interactions that you're going to have in the open world are just going to be throwaway interactions, and they won't matter in the same way as they do in WoW. And I like the open world thing, like it's the most exciting and also the most concerning for me, because it can either go really well or really not well.
also have a unique stagger bar effect, which is increased through crowd control effects.
Yeah.
Once it's filled, the enemy will be stunned, allowing you to deal some free damage and also change the encounter in various ways. For example, you break off the giant bone scythe off this dragon to make its sweeping attacks have a little less bite.
But will that even...
But with such an open...
But would that even matter? Like, that's the issue, is like, in the ARPG games, like, the world bosses, here's the problem with the world bosses, is that they cannot have world bosses that require any degree of coordination or skill if they don't make them, like, clan-specific. Because if you have a world boss that's just sitting out there and, fuck! If you have a world boss that's just sitting out there in the world, and nothing's going on with that world boss, you're just chilling, and it's like, wow, there's the world boss, and there's like 8 other dipshits that just phase in with you. Oh, hey guys, you want to do the boss? Yeah, dude. And like all of these dynamic things that are going to happen to the world bosses won't fucking matter, because the world bosses are just going to get run over anyway. Because you can't make them difficult and then expect them to be completable by a random group. It either has to be completable by a random group or difficult. And if it's not difficult, then it doesn't matter the way the boss changes dynamically if you cut their arm off, because it's going to die anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, hopefully you guys see where I'm coming from. Like, it's like you're doing 2 contradictory things. How to make cool bosses if it's all RNG? I don't know. Like, it's not about it being RNG. If they want to make difficult world bosses, they have to instance them and have them for clans only. If not, they'll just be annoying to do, and I don't think people will like it.
World, you need a fast way to travel, so mounts were announced to play a big part in the game.
Yeah, that's
going
to
to
be awesome.
You along in your exploration of Sanctuary. And judging from the previews, it looks like they're going to serve as that collectible aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Like with how you see in Diablo 3 with the wings and pet systems.
Yeah.
There are to be 5 classes on release. 3 were revealed at this year's BlizzCon, and that's the Barbarian, the Sorceress, and the Druid. The Barbarian is pretty self-explanatory. You hack, slash, jump, and spin. A unique aspect to them, though, is that they're able to equip 4 weapons at once and seamlessly switch between them in combat, so you can adapt to any situation. The Sorceress is your mage, focusing on 3 different schools of magic, and that's fire, frost, and lightning.
This is the same
and
as
the
Diablo
Druid
3.
is your master of nature and shapeshifter, capable of taking on a bear and werewolf form.
I feel like Druid's either
and
going to
also
be really OP
commanding the
or
aid
really
of
bad.
various
One or the
animal
other.
companions. That open world aspect isn't the only thing they took from MMOs, however. As it was confirmed, there's to be a detailed character customization for you to play around with to help immerse yourself with your characters a bit more.
I don't know about that, dude.
Character progression is always a big concern,
I don't know about that, dude.
and it's quite different in 4 than its direct predecessor. It focuses on a combination of skill points, talent trees, rune words, and legendaries to try and create a unique experience for each and every player. Let's go over them one by one. Skill points you get as you level, or from items called skill books, and you spend these to either learn new skills or learn new ranks of existing skills.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Talent trees are pretty familiar if you stepped into the RPG genre before. Basically, you're given a tree of affixes that you can spend points on, and the more points you spend, the further down the tree you can go to customize your character to your liking and create your own builds.
I'm not really as excited about the talent trees as I think maybe some other people are, but maybe nobody's excited about the talent trees. I just see them and I just assume it's like, okay, well, I'll just wait and figure out what the best one is, and then I'll just do that. It's like after I've used the PoE talent tree, it's going to take something really, really big in order to convince me or get me excited again.
Rune words are familiar if you play Diablo 2. These are items that you collect and apply to your armor, and they're split up into 2 variations called conditions and effects.
Yeah.
Condition runes are what cause the effect runes to trigger, and an example they gave is
These are
when you freeze an
complicated.
enemy as a condition.
These are really
introduce
complicated.
a cooldown for a random skill by 15% as an effect. You can mix and match any and all condition and effect runes to your liking.
Yeah.
So feel free to pause it on this page if you'd like. So just like in
Okay.
Shadowlands, they're looking to give players great power in how they want to play. However, a problem with any RPG is that there's always a quote best option, so we'll just have to wait and see if we really have any meaningful choices to make.
I think that we will, because what I believe they're doing with Diablo 4 is they're removing like the numerical fine-tuning that players have to make in like PoE in a way, and they're removing numerical fine-tuning and just making core mechanical tuning. So there's nothing, it doesn't matter like how much agility or how much vitality or whatever you have, they don't give a fuck. And I think they're just focusing on core gameplay and just like not even engaging with like the numerical functions of, like PoE.
And another aspect of customization
Yeah.
are, of course, legendaries. These are the new tiers of rarity, and that's normal, magic, rare, and then legendary and ancient legendary, sharing a tier with the set pieces. And then finally, at the end, are mythic legendaries.
Ancient
These
legendaries.
are said to actually be legendary in rarity.
Okay.
Vanilla Diablo 3 kind of sucked, but one of the cool things was just how rare the legendaries were. They were pretty bad for the most part, but they were so insanely rare back then that if they dropped, it was like an oh snap moment. Maybe one every 20 hours or so, if even.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're going back
That's a
to
really
that
good
level
drop.
of rarity, as opposed to Reaper of Souls, where you get one like every 10 seconds, which
I'll believe that a year into the game. And we'll see if legendaries are raining from the sky by then. Because that's what I think is kind of going to happen. I mean, here's the thing. Reckon Quinn, G4. I mean, like, here's the thing, guys. Like, well, let me think of a way to put it. PoE tree is garbage. Well, it's not really about the PoE tree. Having attack and defense does not necessarily mean that it's a simple game. You can have a bunch of different mechanics that function differently together without having a bunch of different numbers you have to balance. Like, number balancing isn't as gameplay defining as talent and ability balancing. And I think Blizzard, what they're doing with D4, so I just said, is that they're just removing the number balancing out of the equation. They're just taking it out of the equation. They feel like that's something that players, it's complication, and most people don't want to do that. And I think if Blizzard takes Diablo 4 down the route of not trying to compete with Path of Exile directly in terms of, complications and, like how overly like complex and not really convoluted, but just involved that PoE systems are, I think Diablo 4 can capture more of like a casual ARPG market. That's what I think their best case scenario is. And there's more people that play casually than hardcore, so it's not like this is like a second place or anything. I think the casual market is a lot bigger than the hardcore market.
kind of defeats the meaning of the word legendary. And as for mythics, these are basically legendaries on steroids, and they're said to be only obtainable through special actions, maybe special achievements or something like that, who knows. What we do know though is that they have 4 affixes instead of 1, and only 1 mythic can be equipped on your character at any given time. And trading is also confirmed to be in the game, although it will be restricted somewhat. Some items are tradable forever, whereas more powerful ones may only be tradable once total, and some of the most
trading
powerful items,
shit,
such
man.
as mythics, are forever bound to your character.
I feel like, you know how Blizzard has like all these different systems that are just confusing to players? I worry that Diablo is going to have that same thing happen, where they have like 8 different trading restrictions, and it's just confusing. Like, just make everything tradable or not, or just make certain, like, there's like either tradable items or not tradable items. Anything more than like those 2 different functions, it's too much. It's just too complicated in my mind.
And crafting is also making a return. No real huge details yet,
That'd be
but
good.
it's confirmed to be in the game
That'd
in
be
some
real good.
form or another. We know that you can obtain materials throughout the world, and that there's also a salvaging system to serve as a source, as we'll talk about further in a bit. I wanted to make special mention of it though, because it's tied to clans. Clans are seeing a return, and something new that you can do with them is set up a material stash for the clan. They made mention that you could donate some crafting materials to be stored in some sort of bank, so they serve an actual purpose.
So that's how
now,
I can
other
leech
than
stuff in
just for
D4.
chatting and setting
That's
up
good.
groups.
I'm glad about this.
Dungeons are also a bit more unique. They're now completely randomized in both layout and location. You can find
Man, they said that about D3, man. Like, they're not going to be randomized in terms of layout and location. Like, there's going to be the open world layout like this one. There's going to be the inside layout that's underneath the cathedral. There's going to be the dungeon layout. Like, this dungeons being randomized shit, I don't believe it. I do not believe it at all. I think they're going to do the exact same stuff.
nearly any dungeon, nearly anywhere in the world. They're all one continuous
just different
level
tile sets
with
of
no
the same
loading
shit.
screens. And each one you have an objective to finish, sort of like a bounty in adventure mode in Diablo 3. So they're sort of integrating a lot of qualities of adventure mode into the core game from the sounds of it. so that might be good news or bad news for you. And they also have a key system tied to them. Anywhere in the world, you can loot different level keys for a random dungeon, and this is the main endgame activity that we know of right now. Basically, the replacement to rifts and the greater rift systems in Diablo 3.
Yeah, the Mythic Plus keys,
The higher level
literally.
the key, the tougher the dungeon will be,
Yeah.
with harder enemies, more elites, and special affixes for the players, the enemies, or the environment. An example they gave is this unkillable lightning pillar that'll follow you for the entirety of the dungeon.
I'll be honest, I'm not looking
If you
forward
feel
to
like
that.
you
That's
got a
stupid.
bad roll though, or a dungeon
Sounds
that you
really
simply
fucking
don't
annoying.
like, you can choose to also salvage the key for crafting materials.
Yeah.
I imagine that keys won't be the only thing you can salvage, so you can look forward to that to aid you in your crafting. And to deal with all of these challenges, every character, no matter the class, is given an evade maneuver. Essentially, it's
It's like a
little
Dark
dodge move
Souls
to
kind of
evade enemy
mechanic, you know, you like
attacks
roll
and get
out of
crowd
things.
control and
It's
whatnot.
kind of the same stuff.
The
I
specifics
like that.
are
I think
unknown
that's
still,
cool.
such as cooldown or resource usage, but obviously they're going to be a core part of combat for everyone. PvP was also confirmed to be present in the game as well. Players will be able to enable this to find and fight others in the open world, although it's unknown the specifics of the rules of engagement. They did speak a bit in regards to balance, however, stating that certain builds will of course be good for PvE and bad for PvP or vice versa, and that they can fine-tune the game enough to balance both sides of the fence. And it's also been confirmed that there's to be a hardcore mode, where if your character
Who gives a
dies,
shit?
it's gone for good.
Who gives a
along
shit
with all of
about
your
that?
loot. This is a tradition that was started by fans of Diablo 1, and carried on by Blizzard officially with 2 and onwards.
PoE, there's 13,000 people online. Is there a place that I can actually look to see how many people are playing PoE at a time? Can I look and see that? I'd be really curious to find out. Yes, where? Steam charts? Okay, let me look at it after the video.
And lastly, just like Diablo 3, seasons are planned for the 4th.
I never gave a fuck
Similar
about
to
seasons,
3,
man.
each one will bring its own
Seasonal
unique perks,
rewards.
exclusive
Ooh.
items, and special challenges to make sure that none are the
Who
same.
gives a
So
fuck?
this will serve as a steady way of providing game updates. Hopefully it's not the only means, as it is in Diablo 3, but as you'd expect, details and content updates are pretty sparse as the game
The
is
seasons
out
were
yet,
so boring
aside
in
from the
D3.
fact that the game will be expansion
It's like
based,
season
similar to
16 now
Diablo
or
3.
something.
And that's pretty much it
Yeah.
for all of the major stuff anyways. I just wanted to hit the highlights here and give you an overall look of what we know so far. All in all, I think it's looking pretty good, although it's a bit early still.
Okay.
I did think that this was the most impressive thing of the convention though. The gameplay just looks so dark and depressing, like my voice, so it's right up
Oh,
my
there you guys
alley.
go.
I like the fact that it looks a bit more slow-paced and less flashy than Diablo 3. I love the MMO aspects that they borrowed, although I hope they don't go too overboard. And the loot system and character progression all look pretty good to me. The only thing I'll say is that the interface is pretty awful. It's definitely super early. They said that they've been working.
I don't think the interface really sucks that much. It's just basically Diablo 3 interface, and they moved the shit around a little bit. I wouldn't even say that's different. It's that different. Season 19 is starting next week? Yeah, who cares?
on it for quote some time, but I think that's a load of bullcorn. I think that after Diablo Immortal,
Bullcorn?
they sort of panicked and have been cramming it out like a thesis paper the day before it's due.
Yeah.
It's definitely years away, so I wouldn't get too
Don't
crazy
say
with
that,
yet.
man.
I'd be surprised if it was 2021, to be honest. They even said that it's not even Blizzard soon, so just be ready to wait for a long time. I do hope that they take their time with it, though.
No,
I felt
man.
like Diablo 3 was kind of rushed in its
It's a
release.
long
so
fucking
hopefully
way
Man,
away.
that's
we
gonna
don't
be
see a
like next
repeat
week or
with that.
something. Watch it.
If there's any interest in this could be something I cover more
They're
in
gonna
the
bring it out for
future.
Christmas.
I'm definitely interested in it, and I hope you guys are too.
They just made
so
everybody.
Let me know if there are any Diablo fans out
Just to
there,
build hype, dude.
and I'll keep it on the radar for the channel.
That's what it is.
I mean, before I ever started the channel with World of Warcraft, I was streaming Diablo 3, so I'm a big fan of the series.
Okay.
And despite the voice, I'll be eagerly awaiting more news.
Fuck yeah.
Otherwise, though, I hope you found this video interesting or helpful. Like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay.
Peace.
Okay. So, announced it early to make up for the Diablo Immortal. Yeah, I think so.
for now, more.
Is there only so much they can do? Or are they recycling the old grinds? Well, here's the problem, is that they are in a lot of ways recycling the old grinds. But the concern with that is that they are in a lot of ways recycling the old grinds. But the concern with that is that they are in a lot of ways recycling the old grinds. But the concern with that is that they are in a lot of ways recycling the old grinds. But the concern with that is that they are in a lot of ways recycling the old grinds. But the concern with that is that what else can you do? What else is there to do? I don't understand it, you know? Like, that's about it. Easy to distract from controversy? No, I don't think they released it early to distract from controversy. I don't think that happened at all. All right, Steam charts. Let's look and see how many people are playing PoE. All right, Steam charts. Okay, so Steam charts tracking what's played. Wow, there's a lot of people that play